Today's video is for everyone that wants to get started in Photoshop, especially for the photographers. I will try my best to make the use of Photoshop look super easy by showing you the fundamentals and the most important tools to know if you want to start to use Photoshop to edit your photos. So open the software and follow along with me. So first of all, when you are going to open a raw image, if I click right and then I want to open it not with Lightroom, but with Photoshop. So I'm going to choose the application Photoshop. So let's choose Adobe Photoshop 2024. And it's going to automatically open in Camera Raw, which is kind of Lightroom, but inside of Photoshop. So the only thing that is different is that Camera Raw doesn't do any file management. So it's only the raw development interface. So you can see here the interface. So here I already did a few adjustments on this image. I'm not going to go through Camera Raw because that's not the topic here. We want to talk about Photoshop, so we're gonna jump into Photoshop. But let me know in the comments if you want to learn more about Camera Raw, and maybe I can do a full video about that. So once you are in Camera Raw, we want to open it in Photoshop, and you want to open it as an object. It's very important because that will allow you to come back to Camera Raw anytime. So it's like you are opening it in Photoshop in a non-destructive way. So yeah, let's open it, and I'm going to show you that so that's more understandable if you don't know what it does. So here you can see there is a little square with kind of a file icon, and that means if I double click on it, so let's do it, it's going to open in Camera Raw, and I still have the settings I did before. So if I want to change those settings, I am still able to do it. If I opened it without clicking on Open as Object, I wouldn't be able to come back to Camera Raw and to create more adjustment or to change it. So that's why I really recommend you open it as an object. So remember that. That's the first thing to know with Photoshop. So now we have our smart object here, and I'm going to start to walk you through around Photoshop. So here on the side you have the toolbar. So the toolbar, you can move it around now. It's like this. You can customize the toolbar if you want to. For me, I think it's the original one because I don't feel the need to change it, and I actually like it to be where it is initially, so on the side, because I learned like that, so for me it's fine. Then here on the side you should have different panels. So here I like to have the color here, but you can change. I have the swatch, the gradient, the pattern. It's really going to depend what you like. And same here, I have a panel with the properties, adjustments, libraries. Well, the only thing I really use is adjustments, so I have all my single adjustment layers here. And then the most important panel will be the layer. That's where you are going to see your photo, the layer you are going to add, the mask, and more. So this panel here is the most important one. So yeah, remember this one, keep an eye on this one all the time. So here, of course, you have your photo. Now in the new version of Photoshop, you have this panel here that you can also move around if you don't like to have it here. And this is also in this panel that you're gonna be able to use generative fill, but we are not going to use that now. So generative fill is the new AI feature in Photoshop, so it can create things automatically. So first of all, let's go through the toolbar and the most important tool you're gonna have to use as a photographer. So here is the move tool, so it's V on your keyboard, and here we are on it, and it allows you to move anything on your Canva. Then you have the marquee tool, which is M on your keyboard, and it will allow you to create a selection. So for example, here I make a selection like this, or here I can select the car. And if you want to deselect your selection, it's Command D to deselect. So M to have the marquee tool, then you click and drag to create your selection, and Command D to deselect. Now here you're gonna have the crop tool, and you can choose the ratio that you want and then crop it as you like. You can also use generative expand. If you want to make your image bigger but don't have a part of the image, you can use generative expand. If I wanted to have an image that is Instagram friendly, so we want something 4:5, we want a ratio of 4:5, so yeah, let's click 4:5. It's gonna create the aspect ratio, and then I can just move around. So I have the image I want, and you click enter to approve the selection. Be careful of this thing here, delete crop pixels. If this box is checked, that means everything around the crop section will be deleted. So once it's gone, it's gone. If you don't select it, that means you can come back to it. So let's see that. Okay. And then let's say, oh, I changed my mind. I actually want 16:9. Everything that we cropped before is still here. So we can still come back to what we did, and the pixels haven't been deleted. So remember, delete crop pixel. You can delete them by checking this box, or you uncheck it and you keep the pixel. Of course, deleting the crop pixel will save you space in your file, but that's really up to you. Now the tools that can be interesting for you. Eventually the eyedropper tool, which is eye on your keyboard, and so then you can tell what color is what. For example, if I want to tell what is this color here on this building, okay, so I see then in my color panel here that it's kind of a magenta, and for example here it's kind of an orange. Same here. So it allows you to quickly see what colors are what. Okay, so that's the eyedropper tool, eye on your keyboard. I'm going to give you a keyboard cheat sheet that you can print or just read to remember all the important keyboard shortcuts. So that will be in the description if you need it. So now we are coming to the very important tools. This is all the tools that you might need to clean your image. So all those tools will be G on your keyboard. I'm sorry, I never know how to make the difference between J and G. So look at the letter here, I think it's G. And then you have different versions of that. So you have the spot healing brush tool, the remove tool, the healing brush tool, the patch tool, the content aware move tool, and the red eye tool, which I absolutely never use. The three that are going to be important if you are a photographer will be the spot healing brush tool, the remove tool, and eventually the healing brush tool, but I would say the first two will be the most important one for you. So the remove tool is a new tool that is an AI tool in Photoshop that works very well in most cases. So I'll come back to mask later. That is just to show you. So here I'm choosing the remove tool, and if I want to delete that, it's going to do it automatically. Usually it's pretty well done. Okay, and then it's gone. The spot healing brush tool works pretty much the same. Let's say I want to delete this person, I just have to brush on the person and a bit around it so it can sample the area, and then it's gone. Same with this pin here, and it's gone. It's not perfect, as you can see. I think here the remove tool would have worked best, but yeah, you can change around and decide which one makes the best results. The remove tool sometimes have terrible results. So it's better to use the spot healing brush tool, in my opinion. Sometimes the remove tool makes weird texture, so that's why I don't always use it. I would say that the remove tool is also a bit long to process, so if it's just a small thing to remove, like some dust, I would tend to use on the spotting brush tool. Now, something else that you might need to clean your image is the stem tool. So the stem tool is here, S on your keyboard, and the way that it works is that you're gonna have to choose the opacity, the flow. So here we're gonna do 100%, and you're gonna have to do sample all layers if you want to sample everything that is under the layer that you are going to use. So here I created a new layer. I'll be back to layers later in the video. So I want my stamp to be sampling my photo that is under, so I need to all layers. You could use current and below as well, but I would advise you to do all layers. If I do current layer, well, it's going to do nothing at all because there is nothing on my layer. Okay, so all layers. I'm going to remove this part here. So then with option click, and I'm brushing. So it's going to sample the area that I've been sampling. So you can see if I click here and then I move my brush this way, it's going to sample the area from where I clicked until I move. So that is the stem tool. Now we have the eraser tool, that is E on your keyboard. And you can erase. So for example, here I'm erasing on the layer 1. So that means that what we've been doing with the stem tool, I've been erasing it. And that is why this is very important to work on layers on a non-destructive way, because if I had worked on the photo and that I decided that I wanted to remove what I did, so let's do it so you can understand. So for example, I want to remove this, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm not very happy with this result, let's delete it. Okay, but I'm deleting the whole photo. So that is why it's very important to work on layers so you can delete everything you did previously. So now what else we have here, the pen tool, that will be very interesting for you if you want to create very good selections. So P on your keyboard. So the way the pen tool works is that you are going to create a dot and then another dot, and it's going to create a selection once you go back to the first dot. So you don't have to do only straight lines. You can also create curves. So the way you create curves is that you click and then you drag, and it's going to create curves. Okay, you keep adding dots, and I'm going back to my first dot and then do selection. Create my selection. I choose my feather radius, which are the edges. Here I'm gonna do 0 pixel. Okay, and here I have my selection. So if I want to duplicate, for example, this selection, I would do Command G, and here I have my selection that is duplicated on a new layer, so non-destructive as well. So that's a way to use the pen tool to create very detailed selections. It's very important. That's what I use a lot for color grading. So I'm going to delete that. And then the most important tool of all the tools that you're gonna have to use is the brush tool. So B on your keyboard. You can see there is different tool, but here we're gonna talk about the brush tool only. And we have our brush tool here. If you want to change the size or the hardness, you just have to do Control Option and then drag from right to left to change the size, and up and down to change the hardness. So see, the hardness will change the edges of your brush. Then you can choose a color using the color panel here. And if you click, that is going to create one dots here, and let's say I want an hardness of 100%. You can see that the edges are different. Then yeah, if you want to change the color, you just change it here change the hardness up, and it goes like that. So now once again, because we are on a layer, I can remove those dots very easily. Just one more thing, here we have our active colors. So here we can see that the active color is black, and I can change with the second active color, which would be white. If you want to change it using keyboard shortcuts, this is X on your keyboard. Then if you are, for example, you have an active color of this kind of pink, and then I have some blue, let's say, and I want it to go back to black and white, I just click D on my keyboard. It's going back to the initial active colors that are always black and white. Very important when you need to use a mask. Okay, so now let's talk about this panel here. So the little plus here is going to create layers. So layers, as you can see, you can click on the plus, and it's like a piece of paper that you add on top of your photo, where you are going to do adjustment on it, so it doesn't affect your photo directly. It's not on it, but it's a layer that you put on top. So there is a mistake, you can just take this piece of paper and redo it, or just remove the mistake that you did. So to add a new layer, this is this plus here. Now let's say I want to create a group with all those layers. I would select all my layers and create a group, which is here, create a new group. And I can call these layers group. And all my layers are in a group. It's a great way to organize your panel here. So if you have hundreds of layers, it's always good to create groups so you know what is what. So now I'm going to delete it because of course there is nothing on those layers. So to give you a practical example, in my workflow, I usually have my photo, then I add a new layer that I call cleaning, and on this layer I'm going to clean my image. So for example, I want to remove this part here. I would never do that, but let's say I want to do this. Yeah, let's clean some stuff. Okay. So here I'm using the remove tool, so G on my keyboard. Okay, so everything is on my layer here. You can see before and after. Now let's talk about the adjustment panel. So here you're gonna find all the tools you need to retouch your photo. So hue and saturation, brightness, contrast, curves, levels, color balance. I'm not going to talk about everything here, but for example, let's take curves. And let's say we want color balance. So when you click on it, it's going to create a new layer, which is actually an adjustment layer on your layer panel here. And you can see that it creates automatically a rectangle that is white, and this rectangle is called a mask. So it's creating the mask automatically, but you can actually create mask on any layer. So for example, if I wanted to create a mask on this cleaning layer, I would only have to click on this icon here. I click on it and you can see that I have this white layer mask. So here I'm going to delete it. We are going to make drastic adjustments so you can see what we're gonna do. So let's do something as horrible as that. Okay. Let's say that I don't want to see this effect everywhere. I want it to affect only the road. So what can I do? I'm going to use the mask. That's the beauty of Photoshop. So I want it to appear nowhere for now, and then we are going to add the road by doing a selection. So what I'm going to do is to invert the mask. So I don't want it to be all white, I want it to be all black, because white will reveal everything that is on the mask and black will hide everything that is on this mask. So Command I means it's hiding everywhere. Then I'm going to take my brush and we can see that the active color is white, and because I want to reveal something this time, I am going to brush white on my mask. So you brush on the mask. And I brush. I brush the road only. If I wanted it to be perfect, I would do a selection using the pen tool, for example, and then I would brush white, and I would have a perfect selection. So here I can see before and after, and it's affecting only the road. Why? Because if I do option click, I can see how is my mask. So we can see that this adjustment layer is affecting only the white part, and everything that is black is not showing. So let's do the same with the color balance. Let's say that this time we are going to do some adjustment for the upper part of the image. Or we could say we want to affect only the building here. So same, I'm going to invert my mask, Command I on my keyboard, and then I'm going to brush with white only the building. I'll tell you one thing here. Here, if I was not making a tutorial and I was editing my own photo, I would create a perfect selection. That would take a bit of time, but I would take my pen tool and create a perfect selection so I'm not going too far around the building, because let me tell you, if we zoom in a bit, we are going to see that it's not perfect. So here, because I don't want this tutorial to last 1 hour, I'm just brushing with white. But if you want it to be perfect, I would advise you to create a selection always. So let's see our mask. This is what I've been brushing. So I can perfect my selection like that. And everything around that is black. That means the color adjustment layer won't show. So before and after, we can see it's only affecting the building. So this is why masks are very, very important in photo retouching. Of course, I'm doing something very horrible here because I'm not teaching you how to retouch your photo, but how to use Photoshop. But this is, the things that are the most important. So you have the toolbar with every tool that you need. Every tool I talk about are the tools you are going to need. Then you have your layer panel that you always have to keep an eye on. And then you have the adjustments that are going to help you to retouch your photo. Then on your layer panel, there are some keyboard shortcuts that could be very important. I remember you that you can download the keyboard cheat sheet in the description. So for example, if I want to duplicate this layer, there will be Command G. And keep in mind that you can also click right and have everything here. So for example, you can duplicate layer by clicking right and duplicate the layer. Okay. So that's it for today. That's very only the essential thing that you need to know to start with Photoshop. And once you are comfortable using those tools, using the adjustment, the layer and the mask, you can start to edit whatever you want to do. For example, here, if I wanted to remove this building, I would just have to create a perfect selection around it. And then use a tool like the remove tool, or in this case, that could actually be the generative fill. And on a new layer, that would create a part of the sky, and this building would be gone. And just with the few things I showed you here, you are able to do that. So really start to use them and be comfortable with them, and then you can go with more advanced techniques to create perfect photos like you have in mind. I hope that this video helped you and that you feel less intimidated by Photoshop. If you have any question, please let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to don't miss the next one.